Well, I've earned the right to eat those enchiladas the other day that I was eating at, but I was like on ice.
Oh, like you had to keep going.
And he's like, you better eat that shit, man. And he fucking eats it. Keep working.
Team Legends.
Let's do it. Put a legend.
Testing.
Test.
All right, all good. All right, welcome back to episode 22 of Brandon Ryan Meets. In this episode, Brandon Ryan meets my coach. Introduce yourself.
Juan Aguilera.
I wanted to do this pod since we fucking started, I think. But I know you're busy and I haven't had the time. On this pod, we've got other. I don't know if you've seen the other ones.
Yeah,
I think so, like Coach Gomez one, the bodybuilder, and all that stuff. But I wanted to get you because you sort of were my like guidance into like the fitness industry. You know what I mean? Because I did like the gym and I liked other like influencers and watching all the Arnold's and pumping irons and all that good stuff. But I think you were sort of that groundness is like let me help you out. Let me show you what it's like to compete. Let me show you what it's like in the gym because right now we're in your gym and it's not the camera can't see it, but it's not the most commercial looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not. It gets everything done from what I've experienced in the last 4 years. When did I first come here?
Yeah, well, I mean, probably about 4 or 5 years. Because you were what, like, I'd say a sophomore maybe in high school.
I think I was gonna be a junior.
Gonna be a junior.
I was gonna be a junior. So yeah, like
I remember when you were a little kid and you were walking around my dad's shop. I was like, who's that little redhead kid? But
yeah, and since middle school, my dad and my uncle were always like, "Oh, if you're gonna play football, go to Juan. Go to Juan." I never did. I never had that door opened. Looking back, I should have. It's good though. Like in the last years, like we said, you've taught me a lot. Not just with weights, but like, I mean, you helped me with my first powerlifting meet outside of school, and it was like. You ran me down sort of like what to think, what to feel, because I mean it was my first time outside of school, like I said, and I didn't know what to think. I was on my own, you know what I mean? But I do remember the first time I came in here. I think I knew of you, but I never met you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the first thing you looked at me was like, "All right, go do 1,200 jump ropes." I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy, dude?" And my uncle was like, "Yeah, I work out with Juan, dude. Just go with me. Like, why not?" So I went. And that's the first time I remember meeting you. I probably did when I was little. I just don't remember. Yeah. But you looked at me up and down. You're like, 1,200 jump ropes. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's my first test when I meet anybody. Anybody that wants to come and train with me. Yeah. The first thing I try to do is make an impact right away. And I try to set the tone and I try to set the bar. And I'm a firm believer in, setting the bar up high. And, growing up, that was just the mentality, that I was taught early on, and so it's always go hard, man, or go home.
Yeah. That was because your dad, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He was my first coach. And, my dad, my dad, and he's an intense kind of guy, and ever since I can remember, he always made sure that you knew he was in the room.
Yeah.
And even I was his son, and people always thought, oh, it's your dad, and anybody that knows, and people that are watching that were coached by my dad, they'll tell you. He didn't get any special treatment.
He got worse.
Anything, he got the worst treatment. But now looking back, man, I thank my dad. He pushed me hard, and he taught me the value of hard work. And my dad's thing was always outwork everybody.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
He goes, pick the guy in the room that's the talent, or the guy that is the guy, like the big man on campus. And at the end of every practice, when you go to win sprints, or you're going to go run we used to call them the turkey route in San Benito, and in those Coach Roberts days. But he said, that's the guy you're going to beat every single time. You need to beat him, And so when I remember going as a freshman, and At that time, it was Joel Padilla, and Joel was the man, and my dad would say, you just stick to Joel, man. Stick to Joel, outrun him, out sprint him, wherever you can. And of course, probably fresh, he'd smoke me.
Yeah.
But, after going through practice 2 days and going through hell, man, and everybody's tired. That's when everybody, when you're tired, man, you're weak. And that was my time to shine.
Yeah.
Because again, that's what my dad taught me. So he instilled that in me, and that's the same attitude and the same intensity that I bring when I train people. Now, over the years, I've toned down a little bit, because going to school and learning about physiology and learning the right way to train. I kind of there's a happy middle now, but that little spark is still there, man, of intensity. And again, that all goes back to my dad. So when I meet young kids, and people that I train, um, they'll let you know that right away. He's an intense guy, and he's going to test you. He's going to push you. But after you get over that initial test, and where he's pushing you to that edge, where you're going to question, what the hell did I just get myself into? What am I doing? Then after that, he knows what you're made of, and then he'll set your program, and he'll tailor make it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is that you lose a lot of people that way.
Yeah.
Because they get intimidated really fast.
Yeah.
But the ones that stick it out reap the rewards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they get to know who they are. And like you say, you test them physically, yeah. Mentally, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do, is I want to bring that attention to you. Like, this goes beyond the weight room or the training facility or the track, wherever you're training. This goes in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the big picture. That's what I want to bring.
Yeah, I remember you when I barely got certified to be a trainer myself. You gave me the full rundown. Like, it's not just pick up that weight and put it down, or like run this or whatever. It's different when you hear those comments, like how it improves, how people improve outside of the gym. Like, oh, now I can spend more time. All right, now I can play basketball with my kids, or now I can. I'm more mobile at work. I'm not as tired. Like, it's just a different thing that I love from training. It's more than just. I mean, yeah, PRs are PRs and all that good stuff. And obviously, people see a transformation within themselves physically. But I feel like the best part is it comes down mentally. Like, it's not even just. I wouldn't even use the word motivation. It's more like discipline.
There you go.
My uncle's been here since 18, probably even before that. And I know damn well he doesn't like the workouts here, but it's just a routine now. Like, I remember there was a couple years ago, I wanted to do something with him during the week. He said, "No, I gotta go fucking train." I was like, "Oh, she like." I just threw it up there. I'm like, "You can't skip." He's like, "Fuck no, I can't skip." Like, I'm already used to it. Like,
well, I tell people, motivation will get you to the door, man, but discipline is gonna keep your ass here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's really up to you. You have to hold yourself accountable. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to teach them: accountability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do I go and I always tell them all the time, and I go over there, and there's days where I don't feel like training, man.
Yeah.
And there's even days where I have to hire somebody. Like right now, I've been doing boxing for the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back in the ring and just going out there and training with 20-year-olds, kids that are young.
Yeah.
But I have to do that sometimes because I have to discipline myself. I know I'm starting to get lazy. Hey, man, you're putting on some pounds. Got to go and do something different. You know what I mean? So I went to the gym. I got a coach. And he's been working my butt off, man. And we were in there. We did about probably 3-4 rounds yesterday, nonstop, back to back, man. And
Sure.
we're going hard, and taking shots, and I'm leaving that place drenched in sweat. But I mean, and I'm 47 years old, man, but I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but I have to do that. I have to mix it up for myself every now and then, and discipline myself, and because then I bring it back to my gym. You know what I mean? And I tell them, hey, man, I'm still here doing the same thing, just like you guys.
Yeah.
I get up every morning at 5 a.m. I'm here training. I'm training people. And then I go and literally go straight to, the university, And then I'm there, and the university has me for the rest of the day. And then nonstop, back to back to back to back, man. And then boom, what do? I come right back, back over here, and I start training more people. Yeah. And then what do? Then I gotta go and I gotta train somewhere to work myself out. Then I try to get a little bite to eat. And then I'm over there. My mom was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I gotta go run." And she's like, "What do you mean? It's 12 o'clock midnight, dude." And I was like, "What are you doing?" And like, "You're gonna get run over." And I was like, "No, but I gotta run. I gotta go run today." So even if it's just a mile, and it's gonna take me like what 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever it is. It depends on how fast I'm gonna go. I go, but if I'm tired, it might take me 9, 10 minutes. But I went and got it done. Yeah. And then I can say, "Hey, now I've earned the right to go to sleep." Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, I've earned the right to eat those enchiladas the other day that I was eating at freaking Las Vegas. Shout out to Las Vegas Red Cafe in Arlington.
We're not sponsored. No, that's good though. Like it's like I said, it becomes a routine. Like, what do you think is the longest day period you've gone without training?
The longest?
Yeah, like 2 days or 3 days or whatever.
Oh, when I go see my kids, I devote all my time to them. So if I'm going to San Antonio, there'll be times where I'll go like a day or two maybe. But every night before I go to sleep, even if I don't say, "Hey, I'm going to go out and do 30 minutes or like that, just go do a mile, it's going to take me like 10, 15 minutes. I'm doing push-ups or sit-ups or something." Yeah. If you go to my house in San Antonio, and I tell my students this all the time because this is what I teach. I teach health and wellness, in training at the university. And when I'm giving them examples and I'm telling them stories. I said, when I was in San Antonio, man, you'd go into my living room and you think, people have couches and, you have furniture, you have a nice little spread. You had a bench press in my living room, looking at the full screen that I had up there. You had a squat rack in my kitchen. And then you had a pull-up bar in every single door. And so what I did every time I passed through the door, I do 10 pull-ups.
No shit.
Every time it was a commercial, back then we had regular TV, so we had commercials. I try to do 100 push-ups. I had a pair of old York 50s. They were right there in my living room. I'd pick those things up, man, and I would do 30 reps just in one shot. Every commercial if I wasn't doing push. So I was always doing something, man. Yeah. But again, that's the discipline part of it. You know what I mean? And that wasn't a formal workout, but man, I was putting in 100, 200, 300 reps every day of something, whether standing press, push-ups, pull-ups.
And that was on your downtime when you were home.
Yeah, that was downtime when I was at home with the kids. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Even when the kids were there, do that. But again, setting the example too, because my kids saw that. You know what I mean? So if you talk to Gabby, if you talk to Juanito, that's all they've ever seen their dad do. So what do you think my kids do? My kids train all the time too. It's like getting up and brushing your teeth. Yeah. It's just a part of life, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? I tell my students, I hope you brush your teeth every day. You know what I mean? And that's discipline. I mean, every day, it's just a habit. Yeah. And that's what training has to become. So that's what I did, and that's what worked for me. And again, I just wanted to set the example for my children too. So they've grown up doing that. And like I always tell people, no excuses. My daughter's autistic, man, and she works out and trains too. She hates it, but she'll do it. She'll do it. So.
Yeah, I remember I'd seen her a couple times. I think I'd seen her a couple times here when all the kids were down before Gabby went to college. Even Juanito too. I think the first time I'd seen him here, I think he was even when it came to like weights, and he was like
skinny. He's wiry. He's still
he's flaquito, and he was keeping up with us. Maybe like take off a couple pounds like on deadlift or like on bed, but he was still going through the movements and not complaining or nothing. Do you think it was like the way your dad was on you? You think you're like that on them, or it's different?
Yes and no. The intensity is there, the work ethic is there, the discipline is there. All the things that my dad taught me are there. I think I probably my dad will agree with you. We had this conversation not too long ago. I might do it a little bit more gracefully. Yeah, my dad has back then, man, he was intense, and I mean, again, there's people that are out there that know my dad, and they would even they would even say to the extreme, like, "Hey, man, this is on the border of child abuse." You know what I mean? But that's just my dad. You know what I mean? He was an intense guy. I could tell you a lot of stories. I tell my students stories all the time, and their eyes are like this, like, what? What did he do? But again, I don't. Me and my dad talked about it, and my dad's like, "Could I have done it probably another way?" Yeah, he goes, and my dad would say, "But I don't
He
regret it.
doesn't regret
You don't
it.
regret anything because it made you the man who you are, the man you are today." So yeah, it was hard, but and not too many people can take that. But with my kids, different personalities, man, and the way I engage with Gabby is not the same that I engage with Juanito, and obviously Violet with the autism. Yeah, she's again, it's a different approach. But again, the expectation is still there. I still set the bar up here, but just the approach is a little bit different. But that's what a good teacher, trainer, coach does, and that's what I've done my whole life. You know what I mean? So I bring that same um, approach to people that I train here at my gym or my students at the university.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta cater to like different people, and they have different stories. Different like not even just again, it goes back to like mental. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I have a friend of mine who doesn't want to go to a commercial gym because they're insecure. Like, oh, I'm so behind on the gym. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, is it possible I go work out like one on one with you or like
Yeah.
somewhere else? And it's just, and to me, they're not in the worst shape.
Yeah.
Obviously, they need to get back. Everybody needs to get back in the gym. But it's like you said, all your kids have different personalities. All your clients have personalities. I've here at the gym here, I've seen you train people, like a huge range of people that like probably would never even be in the same room together. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
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 for
and that's why it's interesting when I look at the people that I train in the spectrum. It's just like and like even look, and I've had powerlifting teams, going back to the first university that I taught at in San Antonio, and I had a colleague of mine. She was in my department chair, and I remember her telling me, "Man, just the spectrum of kids that you have in there, you would think, oh, these are all like athletes, and they were like star athletes in football and everything. Every single one of the kids that I trained when I was there at the university, none of them ever played a sport in their life. Most of these kids, they were like into comic books and reading, and coach, I never trained with weights, but I want to learn. And a lot of them were my students in my kinesiology classes. And I said, hey man, if you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach you. So you come out here and just give me 100%. That's all I ask you, and I'll get you there. I'll get you strong. And uh, year, 2 years later, man, I had kids that never touched a barbell. Literally, they could probably deadlift maybe 100 pounds, if that. And the same kids were deadlifting 400, 500 pounds. This is all natural, no supplements,
Yeah.
no nothing, just hard training.
Just fucking for
No,
nothing.
just hard training. But again, just give me a barbell and a couple of weights and a space, and I can train somebody. You know, Randy. Randy
Yeah,
from here
Randy,
from the
yeah.
gym. I mean, Randy again. Wasn't he was a great student. And a more academic, and he was in band, and he's a successful lawyer right now.
Yeah.
But when he started training with me, again, he came in, and I have a picture of him on my Instagram, and thin, did a lot of cycling and that type of cardiovascular stuff, in trim, and in shape, but never done weights. And a friend of his, Lori, which that was the connection. Lori had told me, hey, I got a couple of friends of mine, um, I want to bring them to you because I know what they want, and I know you can give it to them,
Yeah.
and get them strong. And that's what he wants. He wants to get bigger and stronger.
And he has.
And oh my God, again, you see a picture of him on my Instagram, man. I mean, Randy was, uh, deadlifting maybe 100 something pounds, and him, Mike, and your uncle.
my
They
uncle.
all, I got them all deadlifting over 425 pounds. And we got the pictures to prove it and the videos. But again, these guys, besides Roro, because Roro did play football, but those guys were not your athletes or anything like that. And they were like, they, I don't want to say they were, they weren't intimidated, but they just weren't comfortable with it because they'd never done it.
Yeah, it wasn't for them.
It wasn't for them when they were growing up. When they came to me and we just, if you want it, and again, they had that tenacious, hardworking, drive to just being a lawyer, or Mike, coming from the Ivy Leagues. I mean, these are smart guys, so they're obviously very successful on a high level. But we just turned that and put it into weight training. And I'm telling you, they're outlifting
Strong and
your gym rats. You know what I mean? So again, I'm very happy that I can give that to them, because it's just something that gets them stronger as a person. You know what I mean? And I do that too with the athletes that I train there, at the university. I started a couple of powerlifting teams, both in San Antonio and now here at UTRGB. And same thing, a lot of these kids that I get, it starts off as powerlifting, but they're just like, hey, I just want to get strong, and they come in and I get them strong, and I love it, man. Josiah, another guy, man.
Another guy just graduated. Shout out to Josiah.
Yeah, shout out to Josiah. Just graduated, man. One of my guys that graduated. But same thing. Josiah came to me a couple years ago. He's in my class. He's just taking it as an elective. He comes over, real quiet guy. Never heard him speak a word. He comes down and says, "Hey, coach, I want to train." And he goes, "I've never lifted weights. I didn't play football. I didn't do any of that stuff. But I was a Marine. So I know." He knew discipline. He knew hard work. He goes, but in high school, I didn't do any stuff. He goes, I'm kind of like goofy. He said, I'm not an athlete or anything like that. And I said, it's okay. You want to come and do it? What do you want? He goes, I want to get stronger. I want to get bigger. And, he was doing the running thing at the time. I said, okay. And same thing. You got a picture of him on our Instagram there for the university, maybe deadlifting like 200 and something pounds, 225, 245, something like that. And the other day he was doing 5 plates for like 10 reps. Oh, fuck. And again, this is nothing but teaching him the basic, fundamental, multi-joint movements.
And I think
lift heavy.
He was only in ROTC, right? In high school, I think he said.
I don't even know if he was in ROTC. Yeah, I think he was.
He was just that, and then straight to Marines, and
then straight to the Marine Corps. Yeah. But it's the same thing. He's like, I have 2 left feet. He was in my basic sports class. And dude couldn't throw a football. He couldn't do any of this stuff. I mean, he knows that. He'll tell anybody. He'll tell anybody. But I'm not trying to make fun of him. But yeah, again, he wasn't athletic at all. You know what I mean? But yeah, you see a guy deadlifting over 5 plates for 10 reps.
That's
when just 2 years ago he wasn't doing that and doesn't take anything. He's strong.
Yeah. I think the first time I'd met him, you had told me like, I won't be here in the mornings because I'm at the university. So I knew there was university like cats going around, like whatever. The first time he was here, you're like, you and your uncle are gonna be together. I got some of the guys from the university. I'm like, okay. First time I had seen Josiah, we were right here on this corner. The exit's right there. You were like, hey Brandon, how's it going? Go warm up with your uncle. I was like, all right, cool. I was walking to the back and you're like, Josiah, pick up the keg and go run a mile. He just no hesitation. Okay. Just fucking threw it on his shoulder. He came back drenched in sweater.
Which is the keg right behind me. 100-pound keg with sand in it.
I was like, what the fuck? But the way you said it, it's fun. It's fundamentals, right? Like basic barbell, basic weights. You can get the job done.
Yeah.
I do want to know what you think. Like you of all people, how the fitness industry has changed in the last even 5 years.
I'm all for getting the word out, and advocating health, wellness, training. Any type of training is better than no training. So I think in that respect, it's good because it does get a lot of attention. Now you have Instagram and you have Facebook and you have all these reels and that's good, you know, because again, you're spreading the word, you're spreading the gospel, as they say, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And it's better than kids not doing anything and being
yeah,
lazy and letting this technology era, you know, kind of make it worse, you know, with the diabetes and all this other kind of
yeah,
stuff. You know, I talk a lot about that in my class there at the university, but I don't want to say the downside, but you know, the stuff that I've seen is, you know, you have a lot of you have a lot of cameras set up, and
yeah,
I know sometimes it can be a distraction.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think that's, I won't say I don't like it because again, you're still getting it out there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're getting and that's a good part of it. But yeah, you know, I'm not too much into the cameras and if it gets in the way,
Yeah.
let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm not guilty of it. Obviously,
Yeah.
like my channel and all that good stuff. But it's I started filming at the gym. My first gym video was
Mhm.
20 2019,
Mhm.
before it was more common. I'm not gonna say I started a trend or
Yeah.
whatever. But I did it as I love the gym. I
Yeah.
love making content. I wanted to combine the both. And then even that I want to see my transformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
like the like again, I was really into powerlifting. I want to see my PRs go up because yeah, like you don't notice it. You don't notice a progress when you're in it.
Mhm.
So say my bench PR goes up 20 pounds in 3 months, but
Yeah.
I won't notice it because one day I add on a 2.5,
Yeah.
one day I add on a 5, and like it goes up. I wanted to see my progression on that, so I would just set my camera down. I think I have a video with Mac. I think that was my
Mhm.
first ever gym video,
Mhm.
and that was the goal. I wanted to see my progression, but then it became more common.
Mhm.
Influencers became bigger and bigger, and even today, I have a hard time filming myself at the gym because
Yeah.
I notice people are like intimidated by it.
Yeah.
Because I go to a commercial gym. I haven't been able to come over here,
Mhm.
and I just hate being in the way.
Yeah.
I hate like I remember I set a camera up at TrueFit.
Mhm.
People behind me just scattered. I was like, oh fuck! Like I just don't want to be that guy. But
Yeah.
like it is for me. It's
Yeah.
for my personal. Like
Yeah.
like if YouTube didn't exist,
Mhm.
I still would have the videos of me my first time hitting 225,
Yeah.
275 on bench. I would still have all of that. It's just a different game now. And like you said, I love the exposure to it because fuck yeah, like if everybody's fit, like
Yeah.
I can't complain about that. But it's just I've seen the bad side of it of people, other influencers putting on this say like persona that they're not,
Yeah.
or putting or pushing things to kids that are not
Realistic.
realistic to them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, since what the '60s, steroids have been a thing, and
Yeah.
then now like it's even worse with the overexposure to kids, and now you got even teenagers like taking that. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was back in the day, but now it's a more common thing. Like let's hop on this, let's hop on this. You know what I mean? So it is a good side. I got into fitness because of my brother-in-law Matthew. Like
Mhm.
again, like I love.
He's the one that came and trained with me, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. He first got me into. I was training for football back in seventh grade, eighth grade, when we
Yeah.
were practicing for football. I found myself more in love with the weight room
Mhm.
instead of the fucking drills.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm not fucking big. I'm not gonna make an impact on the field. So I found myself falling in love with the weights. That's when my sister started dating Matthew, and then he had a home gym, and he's like, "Yeah, just work out with me one time." I remember we tried pre-workout for the first time. I had tingles all over my fucking face. So he got me into that, and his big thing is Arnold. He's more old school. He'll watch the Lou Ferrignos of the world, the Arnolds, the fucking Frank Zane, all any old documentary. I'm pretty sure my brother-in-law has showed it to me or seen it like on his own time, and it's just a different community now, like with weights and stuff. Like
Well, I think that's, you know, going on what you're saying, you
yeah,
know, before I forget, I think everybody started off that way, you know, or at least the people I grew up with, you know, and I can remember um, my friend Mark, you know, Mark Sanchez, uh,
shout out to Mark.
shout out to Mark, yeah, you know, Dusty Strickland, you know, a couple of other my friends that I played high school with. And of course, you know, you know, we trained and we did our thing 2 days and, you know, whatever we did there at San Benito. But where really it became like a culture,
Yeah.
was coming home. I mean, I remember we'd either go to Mark's house. Usually it was at Mark's house, um, or be there at my house, and we watch Pumping Iron Man.
Yeah.
We'd pop it in, old cassette. We'd pop it in, and I remember watching it and just being glued to the TV, man. And again, that's because I grew up around powerlifters my whole life.
Yeah.
I grew up around my dad, and that's a different type of training, man. My dad
Yeah.
wasn't a very intense guy, but when I saw Arnold, and it was intense, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But when I started seeing the brotherhood like him and Franco and all that whole Gold's Gym, I was like, that's what we have
Yeah, that's what I'm
here
saying,
with
yeah.
my guys, like with Mark and then you had all these characters, and so that was a part of it. And I back then, and Josiah's gonna probably laugh, but I walked around without a shirt all the time, man, because Arnold did it,
Yeah.
barefoot and little short shorts, dude. And my friend Mark too, and Mark was a strong one.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark could freaking, he'll probably remember this, man. 3 plates like nothing, 4 plates.
Oh shit.
That's how
Bench.
much bench,
Fuck.
bench, dude. And this is in high school,
Yeah.
coming out of high school, man. But he was a beast, man, and I wasn't. I was small. I was like Juanito,
Yeah.
but I was there in the gym, and I was strong for my size, being a small guy. But at that time, my dad had just opened up the gym in San Benito,
Okay.
and it was called Chewy's Custom Sports and Gym. And gym. So my dad would do the t-shirts in the back.
Yeah.
But as you walked in the door, it was right there downtown San Benito. All the weights were there. And we would go and watch Pumping Iron. We'd eat chicken breast, and
Yeah.
Mark would make his famous freaking corn and lima beans. I don't know what the heck he was, but we used to eat the chicken breast, and then we'd eat a lot of protein, and then there we go to my gym and go lift weights. And
Yeah.
that's what we did. My friend Polo too. Shout out to my friend Polo, man. He was there. And funny story, we were training once at we do that, and then we go to McAllen. We'd go out to the clubs. And back then it was Collage. So my buddy, I don't think Marcos was at this time, but my buddy Polo goes, "Hey man, we're gonna go out," and I go, "Well, let's go work out, dude. We're gonna get pumped up first." So he's like, "All right, let's go, right?" So we go out there, and we're lifting weights and everything, and we did a hard workout, man, and we did legs. So my friend Polo's like, "Dude, I can't even feel my legs, dude." And Polo doesn't drink. Polo
Yeah.
doesn't drink. He's about the girls, man. He's about the chicks, man. So I was like, "It's all right. It's all right. We'll be all right. We'll be all right." So we go. That was our ritual, man. We go get dressed, take a shower, get dressed up. Hey, I'm gonna go pick you up. Pick them up. We're heading to McAllen. We get to McAllen. It was, hey, let's go to the mall. We go to the Plaza Mall. We'd go buy a shirt. I'd go buy a polo shirt or something, right? And then so we're there. We getting dressed up. We got these girls. My friend Polo, not me. My friend Polo's got these girls lined up. He was the pimp, man. I didn't have game like that, man. But Polo did have game. And Polo had, he's like, "Hey, I got some girls lined up, dude." He goes, "So let's go." So we get there. We go pick up these girls, and I don't know them. Polo knows them.
Yeah.
We go and pick them up in McAllen. They're from McAllen. They're not from something. They're from McAllen. So we get there, and the girls are all excited. We're all getting there. We get there early, around 9, because I was the one who drank. So he's like, "Hey, you got to go early, man, because that's when they have the specials. I can buy I was 250 them, man." So like, I got to buy because I was cheap, dude, too. So got to buy a bunch of them. So we get there, and I'm saying, "Hurry up, man, it's cool." He goes, "Dude, I can't walk, man. You freaking worked me out. I can't even walk." So we're walking, right? What? This is funny. This true story, dude. We're walking. The girls are behind us, and I'm laughing. I'm making fun of him. And the girl that he's, trying to date, or he's dating, she just kind of giggles and runs and jumps on his back, like to go, like kind of like a piggyback, right?
Uh-huh.
She jumped, and as soon as she jumped on him, and Polo's a big guy, she got on him. She just collapsed. Boom! They both fall on the street and they roll. And Polo is just cracking up because I can't feel my legs, dude. Seriously, I can't move my legs. And everybody was laughing. The girl was on the floor, just knocked out, man. But when she got out, she was laughing. It's just a funny story, man. I'll never forget that, man. But that's the kind of training we did. We'd go and hit it hard, and we do like 2-hour sessions. High volume. We didn't know what we were doing. Again, I went away from my traditional because I grew up. And actually, the stuff that I learned, it's still stuff that I do today. My dad taught me the right way. You know, lift heavy.
Their burnouts,
Low reps.
the burnouts, and all
No,
that good
low
stuff?
reps. No, it was always low reps, low volume, heavy.
Really?
The more weight I could put on the bar, the better. You know, we were doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 before it was a thing. You know what I mean? Like I was doing that. Singles, heavy singles.
Yeah.
You know, again, and I was a small guy. But I saw my dad trained powerlifting from those late 70s and those 80s, you know, and he taught me that stuff. And I saw growing up, I saw that. You know, so I always went back to my foundation, even before I learned the science behind it,
Yeah.
and going to school for it. When I came full circle, when I actually was at one of the certifications, I was at a certification at the University of Tennessee, and I was doing a certification for, I think it was the National Strength and Conditioning Association, something like that. And we're talking about some of the elite, the best strength coaches in the world. You know, Johnny Long at the time, and I'm there sitting and he's lecturing and he's talking about, you know, setting rep schemas and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, man, I did this when I was a kid. Like I was already doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was gold, man. I learned the good stuff early on. My dad didn't know the science behind it.
He just knew it worked.
It was all trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad got big and my dad was strong. And anybody that knows my dad from back then, my dad was about 235, 40 pounds and probably could run like 4 or 5. He could fly, dude. He could fly, and he was big, and he had a lot of power. But it was from the training he was doing. When I played football, you know, again, not in San Benito because I was little.
Yeah.
But when I went to San Antonio and I played in a semi-pro team over there, and I was playing 6-man, I played 12-man, I played everything over there, and I was still playing when I was 30 years old.
Oh shit.
And man, I was probably about 235, 240 at the biggest, and I could run like the 4 or 5 easy, all day, fast. But again, it went down to that training that I did early on, you know, and then finally when I learned the science, it became full circle. And I was like, man, I've been doing it right all the time. But I went through the same thing that most people did.
Yeah.
You know, watch Arnold. I went and I did it. I did the high volume. And I'm saying I didn't get results of that, man. I got pretty ripped, and that's probably the best that I looked. You know, where I actually was getting the 6-pack, and you know, I always had a big chest. You know, so I mean, it kind of, he was my idol too, because Arnold had a big chest.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that magazine where he's got the cup right here, and I was like, that's what I want to do, man. I want to have that same, because I had a naturally big chest. I was like, if I work on it and I do a lot of volume, I'll do the same thing, you know. But you know, again, we did that. I did that training. Been there, done that, and I went through my phase where I did Olympic lifting. I went and got certified in Colorado, and I went through the Olympic USA Olympic lifting, or USA lifting or weightlifting. I've done USA powerlifting, all those, you know, certifications. I've done every certification you can think of. You know, again, just in my quest to learn everything having to do with strength, health, and wellness. You know, I've worked with geriatrics, 55 and older people. I went and got at the Cooper Institution. I got certified to do that. I've been an exercise physiologist, you know, at a hospital working with heart patients.
Oh, really?
You know, I've worked with cardiac patients. I've worked with people with strokes. I was an exercise physiologist for a company called The Wish out of Chicago. It was in San Antonio, and then it came over here to Mission. And I worked with bariatrics, so everybody that were doing gastro bypass surgery. So people were there like 5, 6, 700 pounds. You see that now on TV.
Yeah.
Before that was a thing, people were doing that, and I was the guy that was getting them ready for surgery.
Oh shit.
Know? And then obviously for them to adopt that lifestyle after they get the surgery to keep the weight off.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I did programming for that. So I was working there at the hospital and I did all that stuff. But I was interested in all aspects of my field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not only for myself, but also so I could share the knowledge with other people that I was training, people that I was helping get healthier.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a real like it. I'm guessing. I think you told me this before. It doesn't even feel like a job because it's your obsession.
This is
It's
this is my passion, man. And you're right. I am obsessed to a certain point. I think I'm more obsessed with the training part of it for me, but the passion part of it is helping others.
yeah,
You
knowledge
know,
of
so like when
everything.
people come and ask me, "Hey, coach, can you help me?" You know, whether it's a mentorship or and I've had plenty of interns come through here through the university, and that's the connection that I have is that I do have. I'm exposed to a lot of young coaches that are going to go out there, and that's what I want to do, man. You know, I just want to. It's that ripple effect. You know,
Yeah.
just boom, and it's going to spread because I'm going to influence them, and they're going to go out and influence other kids, and then those kids will influence other kids, and it just spreads, man. You know, so if I can reach one or two, you know, that's great. You know, because then those two will be multiplied and multiplied. But I'm lucky that I'm in a spot where I go through about 100 to 150 students every semester that are going to be in this field
Yeah.
in one way or the other, whether they're coaching, whether they're going to be health professionals, whether they're going to go into the physiology side of it, the teaching side of it. I mean, there's all different,
Nutrition and
yeah,
everything like this.
nutrition side of it,
There's so
physical
many,
therapy, athletic training, everything. I mean, I get it, everything.
Mhm.
You know, and I hope that I do a good job of trying to encourage them to pursue their passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try to bring that passion when I teach. You know, I try not to be boring and just go up there and lecture.
Yeah.
You know, I try to give them a lot of examples, real life scenarios, a lot of practical application. That's what I'm all about. You know what I mean? It's not about just going in the classroom and taking a test. You know, I want to see what you actually do. You know, so sometimes this is my classroom. You know, and most of my colleagues, man, they're writing on the board, and I get that. I do that too.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, okay, you learned this stuff. Now let's go in the weight room and put it into practice. Because when you're a coach, it can sound real nice here, but when everything doesn't work out like you want it, you have to be on the fly. You have to know how to do it.
Mhm.
You know how to adapt or how to modify the program or the workout for the because that person's entrusting you. You know, they're trusting you. Hey, you know, this guy's gonna not only get me to my goal, but he's gonna keep me safe.
He's gonna teach you like
Yeah,
the principles of like for the future. Because
yeah.
you first showed me that when um the first session I had for powerlifting here.
Hmm.
I mean, you first texted me like, "Oh, we're gonna do some squats. We're gonna do this accessory this and whatnot." We changed up the whole program because you saw my squat,
Yeah.
and you said I had weak hips,
Hmm.
so we changed it from like a quad dominant workout to like a hip and mobility
Yeah.
exercise after that because you saw me squat once. I think it was a heavy
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
or like a heavy triple, one of those, and you're like, all right, so your lockout isn't that good.
Hmm.
We're gonna switch up the whole program today. So
Hmm.
you're like, ignore everything I texted you. We're gonna go back to the drawing board.
But you know that's the double-edged sword of technology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, not that I don't I you know, a lot of people have asked me, "Hey, can you write me a program?" And I'm like, "Look, I'm more hands-on,
Yeah.
honestly. You know, I need to see you and you need to be in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, cameras are cool and you videotape your workout and you send it to me and I see it, but I can't see every angle there, man. When I see you in the flesh, then right away I know what I got to do to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, so that again, that's a great thing about technology and using cameras and videotaping. That's great. I go, but
It doesn't
that's
give
also
anything.
the you know the downside of that too. That I'd rather see you come in. So when you came in, that made a world of difference. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you came in and like, okay, now what I got to do now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it worked for a while when we were doing it like that through texting and showing me little videos here and there.
Yeah.
You know,
But
but
it's nowhere near
no,
the same as in person
no,
because
no,
like
no.
it's
And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people send me messages all the time, and I'm like, look, I'm not against it, and I've helped people, you know, in that fashion, but I'd rather you come in.
Yeah.
And we do it in person again because there's it's just got to be more hands on. You know what I mean? That's just the way I work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm better that way. I do my job better that way.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I've seen people try to sell like I was going back to like influencers and people that are bigger in the fitness industry. Not all of them. Like I'm not knocking anybody, but there'll be some people that'll sell a program,
Mhm.
and it's tough for a kid to look at this list of workouts that this guy uses
Yeah.
that cater to him.
you know, like it's just not. I don't think there's a program designed for anybody that'll just work.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I've looked at other big name power lifters and weightlifters that have this program, and that's catered to them, and I give it a try, and it just I see no
Yeah.
progress. My stuff plateaus. But also when I was going back to about earlier, how times are different now. It's just now if you go to a commercial gym, it's like 90% machines.
Mhm.
I mean, there's rarely any squat racks, any barbells. You know, it's just that's what I noticed more because like I told watched I watched pumping irons, the
Mhm.
old school like videos and stuff, and you don't see any more like I think even Arnold said you don't see kids anymore like cleaning and pressing, and
Mhm.
you don't see any of that. It's mainly just machine based, and
Yeah.
it's just. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. But like,
Yeah.
I'm just more old school that way, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
relate to that one.
Yeah. But I don't have a problem with machines. They're good. They're a good start. And again, anything that gets people into the door to work
Yeah,
out
yeah,
is
for
better
sure.
than nothing. And the risk to reward is a little bit different. But I mean, the machines are good. But eventually, I like to move everybody to multi joint movements. And keep it real simple, man, real basic. And a lot of times, people will look at the program. They're like, "What? That's it?" Man, they're not looking at any type of West Side, or they're not looking at chains or bands, and they're just like, "Look, focus on doing the normal stuff first.
Yeah.
Let's master that first before you want to start adding bands and all this other stuff." You know what I mean? I don't want to throw a number out there, but a high percentage of people can't even do the basic multi-joint movements,
Yeah.
and then they want to move to these other more advanced stuff. That stuff is great, but you need to have a lot of years under you, man.
Yeah.
And be a certain strength, real strength. I'm talking about real strength before you start doing, chains, bands, and more advanced type of training.
Yeah.
Again, that's just my observation, and also a lot of trial and error myself.
Yeah.
Because I was that guy too that I tried everything. I would see an Eastern Bulk program from Yugoslavia or some type of freaking like Russian stuff, and I saw those guys. They were strong, but it never clicked. Hey man, these guys are on gear. They're on drugs too, man. You know what I mean? And so like that kind of stuff, it looks nice on paper, man, and it gets results for it, but it's not made for me.
Yeah.
And I went and tried it, and I would overtrain, and I was playing football too, so I'd go pull a hamstring or a quad or something was there, and I'm like, what's going on, man? I'm working out and stuff. Well, that's probably because
Yeah.
you were doing 100 sets and 100, and doing all these high neurological, like I'm talking about like clean jerks, snatches, things like that. You know what I mean? Power cleans.
Versus people that have been doing it for like 10 years under
Yeah.
their belt and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just
And again, they have a different nutrition. They're probably taking drugs, and it's a different level, man. So I learned that real quick. And again, through trial and error, and then I try not to make the same mistake with other people, And I try. It's hard with young kids because young kids want everything now.
yes.
You know what I mean? And they again they see the best thing in a magazine, or they look at Larry Wheels, or again that's not a shot.
Yeah.
That's not. It's he's got great content, and he does some cool stuff. But yeah, you're not Larry Wheels, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's where you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I try to bring them back to reality. Stick to the basics.
Yeah.
Master this deadlift first, this hinge movement. Master this squat or this deadlift, or good morning or RDL. These are all basic stuff. That's gonna get you strong, dude. You don't need to really do this right here.
Yeah.
Again, the risk to reward is not there. Hey, if I tell people all the time, that's my favorite thing right there, that trap bar, man.
Trap bar deadlift.
Yeah, because I tell them, unless you're gonna be competing in a powerlifting meet, you don't need to do a straight bar, dude.
Yeah.
You don't need to do a straight bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even when I train, man, I try to train as much as I can with that trap bar because it puts me in the center of my lift, and I don't have to worry about hurting myself. You know what I mean? And I can go super heavy.
And it's almost like neutral one.
Yeah,
Even the grip is like it's on the side. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's just best. Again, the risk to reward is there. So like
Yeah.
my son will train only on that trap bar.
Really.
Every now and then when we start getting close to competition, if we are gonna go to Worlds or somewhere, then we'll start training with a straight bar just so he can start getting used to it. But the strength is there now. And it's such a really quick learning process. And once he gets a feel for it, the strength transfers over. And then we just avoided months of possible injury, right? And we time it perfect. So when he goes to Worlds, he's pulling like a pro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And plus, he knows the biomechanics of that anyway, because I've taught him early on anyway, and I've taught him good, and I'm confident in that. But yeah, a lot of times I tell people, let's just use the trap bar, man. The less risk we take, the better. And it's all about keeping you strong and not hurting you. That's why it bothers me sometimes when Roel tells me, hey, I'm my shoulder here and there, and we're trying to figure it out, like what's going on, man. You know what I mean? Because we do try to keep everything real basic and try to not do anything crazy. But there's some adjustments that have to be made in his workout because for whatever reason his body is telling him something, and that's why I tell him you have to let me know every single time, and we have that open line of communication. Like, hey, how do you feel? That's the question I ask every day. Like, how do you feel, man? What are you feeling? And he'll tell me. He's real honest, and so we'll try to change things around. So, but that's what I want. I don't want anybody to be broken. I'm here because I want to make you better.
Yeah.
Not to break you. You know what I mean? So we just try to keep it simple, man.
Yeah, even with like the like you said, the basic movements that you preach, it's probably the healthiest movements you could do because not even just for strength training, but just mobility.
Yeah.
Like straight bar. I mean, that's likely to do little things like roll your back. You know what I mean? Like I've seen countless people, whether I'm training them or usual gym goers that I run into, main problem, lower back, shoulders, knees, because of they're just not doing those basic exercises. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not, it always has to come down to those, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's why I said this current state of the fitness industry, it's different. Kids are trying the extreme, like you said, like they're looking at your Larry Wheels, your Sebum. No dig at them, but they got years on top of us. You know what I mean? Like especially kids coming out like still in high school, they're trying those.
And you're only seeing the stuff they're doing on camera too.
Yeah, so
you're not seeing all
not
the
seeing
other work
their
they're
fails.
putting in.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's just a whole different. I think it is probably maybe the biggest industry right now on social media because that's what everybody's chasing now.
Yeah,
it's different. I had a list of things I wanted to bring up to you. It's called. I did want to know this right now. What do you? I don't think there can't be a time where you hang up that whistle or you like I asked Gomez. You can't. There's not gonna be a time where you give up training. Where do you think? How far do you think that'll go? Because I think you're gonna work out like your dad till you're dead. You know what I mean? Training yourself is gonna go on forever. I can see it. But training other people, like what's your end game?
Yeah, and that's a kind of like a little inside funny thing with my kids because I've told my kids ever probably since they can remember, and anybody that really really knows me, my goal is to live to 100.
Really?
I set that number, and I said, and I want to be that guy that's 100 and still doing a sprint or doing deadlifts, or my guys will tell you that, the ones from back from San Antonio. That's just I'm very competitive, and anytime I'm with my guys, even now, I'll go and every now and then I'll bang some weights with Josiah, and I'll put on the 4 plates, 5 plates, or whatever, and deadlift it, so yeah. But I know that things change, and that's one of the things that I'm coming to. I'm having to modify things now because obviously I can't do as much volume sometimes.
Yeah.
So I have to be really careful with that, and so I don't really lift heavy anymore, like I used to. But I still go and I'll put 5 plates on that thing, and I'll lift it, And so or I'll still go pick up that keg, or go pick up a 300-pound stone, or you know what I mean, or sprint, play a race, with Juanito, and I still, tell him, hey, you can't whip me yet, man. I remember the first time that I beat my dad. True story, man, because my dad would always say, one day you're going to be bigger than me. One day you think you're going to be badder than me. You know what I mean? And he goes, but till that day, you know, I'm still bigger and badder than you. But I remember,
Wait, hang on. Talking. Is the light turned? Was the light? Okay.
I remember the first time I beat him. I think I was like 15 or 16, and we went out and we raced, and about halfway through it, I just kind of looked over and he was way back there, man. So I was like, that's it. I was kind of an aha moment, like, oh man, I just beat him. And my cousin Kristen's always saying, "Long live the king!" You know what he
The Lion King.
the Lion King. And she goes, "That's what Juanito's gonna do to you, man. It's coming back to you, man." But yeah, I mean, the other day, I right before the Spartan race,
Yeah.
you know, we went and again, I started training him just like my dad did, and we go out there and say, "Hey, let's go out there and run some 40s, man." And I was showing him how to do a good start and everything, and I was getting ready. I was like, "We're gonna race for real," because he's already thinking he's gonna beat me.
Yeah.
And I said, "Man, I'm gonna kill you, dude." And so we go there, we're warming up, and we're doing a couple of starts, 20s, and I'm thinking, "All right, you ready? Let's do it." And we lined up and go. You say go. I'll let you say go. Take off, man. I blew him. I was way in front of him, like 5 yards, man. About the 25, man, it just felt like somebody shot me in my hamstring.
No.
Literally, like the ones you see the videos on the internet. I felt the hamstring just. I heard the pop.
You heard it.
Like it popped loud. I fell on the ground, and I was just in agony, man.
Oh,
and Juanito comes up and he starts laughing at me. He's laughing at me. But I was like, "Don't touch me, man." I couldn't move. I had to actually crawl. I don't know why I'm still thinking my dad. My dad tells me, when he taught me, "Hey, if you're in football, man, you get hurt, you crawl off that field. Don't stop the game. Get the hell off of there."
Oh shit.
You know what I mean? And I had that voice in my head come in and said, "Get the hell off the street." And it was the street. It was my mom, in front of my mom's house. But I crawled out of the street and I went into the porch and I was just in agony. And my mom came out, What are you doing, man? and I tell her, and it's like, "Oh my God, you got to go to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to go to the hospital. Just let me lay here." And let me lay for a while. And I remember getting up and I couldn't put no weight on it. And it got blue and everything. And I went and I put some what's it called, ice on it, and it just I couldn't walk for a couple of days, man.
So you were just laying on that porch, just like fuck. I remember my uncle told me before the race, he was like, he's like, "Hey, go fill in for Juan. He's not gonna fucking do it." I'm like, "Juan's not gonna fucking do it." He's like, "No, I think he felt I think he felt sore or something like that, bro. If it's Juan," I told him, "Bro, if it's Juan, something's fucking torn."
No.
Like,
This is before the Spartan race, not the Mutter.
Yeah.
So this is 2 weeks before the Mutter. So I'm talking to one of my guys from San Antonio. I tell him he's a physical therapist, has his own place now, doctoral, everything. And I call him up and say, "Hey, man, you need to get me back ready to go." And he's like, "What are you talking about, coach?" And I tell him what happens. "Nah, man, you're done, dude." He goes, "But when you come to San Antonio, come to the clinic and I'll work on you." So he comes and looks at it and tells me, "No, you didn't tear it, but it's pretty bad." But he's like, "But yeah, you're gonna have to do this exercise." He's telling me everything I gotta do. He worked on it with some kind of instrument, and he was working it. And he goes, I'll work it again next time you come." He goes, "But do these exercises." I'm like, okay, so then I should be ready in 2 weeks. He goes, "Ready for what?" "Not for the Spartan." He goes, "Dude, you're done. You can't do it. You can't. What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm doing it. I paid $200, dude. I'm gonna do it." And he's like, "Look, I'm not gonna stop you because I already know you. I've known you for a long time, and I know you're not just like how you said right now. You're gonna do it."
Yeah.
So okay, if you're gonna do it, this is what I recommend. And he told me the recommendations as a physical therapist, and he goes, "But I wouldn't do it if I was you. But again, it's up to you." So then I did everything he told me to do to a T. Literally the day that we left, before we left, I felt better, but I still felt it there. It was there. Yeah. Obviously, it couldn't heal in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I had already decided I was going to help my cousin because it was going to be her first Tough Mudder. I mean, her first Spartan. And so I stick with her. We never stopped. We didn't walk the whole thing, man. Even if it was slow, we ran the whole thing. And I felt great, man. We were doing that. It just, the energy there, man, it was just different, man. And I didn't feel no pain. You have adrenaline. You got things going on. You have that mentality that nothing's gonna stop me. Kind of that whole David Goggins thing.
I was gonna say you duct tape your hamstring or some shit.
Shit, I grew up. You know what? not to interrupt the story, but my dad, and again, this is things I see from my dad. My dad would be on the ground yelling. His knee would come out of place, and we'd be playing flag football, and people would see him like, oh, Chewy, like, and my dad would like, snap it back in. And they would snap it back into place. And my dad would be like that. My dad would go put antifreeze on his knee so he didn't feel anything, and then go play football. So seeing that, like, I can't stop. You know what I mean? I can't be a wuss, man. So I remember going, and I told my dad, I told him, I said, I'm gonna go. My dad said, you're gonna go? And I said, yeah, I'm gonna go. My dad went. I mean, he went with us, you know, and he was there, and but I was in pain, dude. But just that mental, you know, takes over, and my dad's there. The energy's there too. You know, I'm still like this 12-year-old boy looking at my dad the same way, and he's there, and it's like pressure. Got to get it done, man.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because he's not like that no more. He's not yelling at me or telling me anything, but just the look. You know what I mean? And again, I see him still when he was young, and I see him like a little kid, like Juanito. And I'm like, I got to get this done. You know, and as soon as they're going off, boom, everything changes. My attitude changes. Everything. I didn't feel anything, and I just go. And about halfway through it, I remember my cousin. And again, there's the line again. We get there. There's a part of we're on top of a hill, and it's steep drop. And we're just covered in mud, water, everything's slippery. People are just eating it bad. And I told my cousins, like, this I know is going to be a challenge. We're jumping over obstacles, everything, climbing, everything, nothing bothering me. I go, but the eccentric going down is going to be a load on my hamstring. I already know. I already know from a physiological, this is going to be tough. So I was like, what do I do? And my cousin's like, dude, take your time. Why don't you just sit down? No, I ain't going to sit down. I'm not going to roll down. I go, I got to zigzag it or something. So she's like, whatever, dude. So then there I am. And she could tell you this, man. I'm there zigzag. I started kind of zigzagging. But I was like, screw it. I'm just going to run it straight downhill, full sprint. Biggest mistake, man. About 2-3 into it, I slipped. And I still caught myself. And even the guy because, hey, man, it was a good save, dude. But I was like on ice.
Oh, like you had to keep going.
Like in the cartoons, like this. And I'm going all the way down the hill. Get to the bottom. Boom, I eat it. I didn't fall, but I put my hand down and I got up. I felt my hamstring pop again. Oh, same thing again, man.
Same feeling.
Same feeling when I raced Juanito. We're about halfway through, maybe 4 miles into it. We ran about 8 miles at the end of the day. 8 miles with 35 obstacles. Mm-hmm. So the next probably 2 hours, I just gutted it, man. I mean, I was in pain. Probably the worst pain I've ever been in, and limping it. And my cousin, as soon as I got to the hill, she goes, I told you. She goes, long live the kid. She was like that. I was like, get the hell out of here, man. So we finished the race. I felt great, man. I was on a high. I think after, when we got to the very end, I told Ro, I can't even feel anything anymore, dude. Like, I literally can't feel nothing. You know, I was cramping everywhere. And then one of the last obstacles was you have to low crawl, like a football field with barbed wire. And that was the worst pain because I couldn't push off my hamstring.
Oh, yeah.
So what I did is I turned on the side and I literally rolled the whole way. I rolled the 100 yards of barbed wire. I rolled it so I wouldn't put any stress on my hamstring. And that's how I got through that obstacle because I was in pain, dude. But that, again, it was just, it's the mentality, man. And I tell you, it's my dad was there. The energy was there. Juanito, my son, was there. I mean, he left me in the dust. I mean, that guy, he finished it. Him and Josiah just killed it. But I wasn't expecting to keep up with them, you know, with the injury. But I need to show him that no matter what, through adversity, whatever you got to be going through, life's going to hit you that way, man.
Yeah.
So I want my son to see that because I saw that from my father. Every time I saw my father down, hurt, there's no way this guy would just come out of nowhere like a beast, man, and just get it done. People around me would freak out like, you're crazy. You know what I mean? But that's what I learned. So now I'm doing the same thing and I'm showing my son that, you know, and I always tell people, I'm not even half of what my dad was. That's how, maybe that's still the kid in me seeing him. But my dad always says, oh, no, you're way bigger than me. And I'm stronger than him than when he ever was. But to me, in my eyes, man, I'm not even half the man he is. You know what I mean? Because I just saw him do some amazing things, dude, growing up. And you know, and people that saw him play football and, you know, and lift weights and just walk around with that confidence, man. You know, that's contagious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You grew up on that.
Yeah, I grew up on that. That's me. That's all I grew up on, man.
Yeah.
So I try to give that same vibe up, and I want my son to give that. You know, I was talking to his boxing coach the other day, Coach De La Rosa. Shout out to Coach, and great coach, man. And his sons were at the professional level, you know, in boxing, you know, and made it all the way. You know, one of his sons was on a show with Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot what the name of that show was called back in the day, but it was the first of its kind. Um, but Contender was a Contender, and his son was on it. And anyway, that's Juanito's coach. And I remember him. I was like, "Hey, how's Juanito doing?" And everything. He goes, "Oh, he's doing great, man. Juanito always does good, and he works hard, you know." And that makes me feel good because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I know that he's not the best skilled boxer, but I know he's gonna outwork everybody
Yeah.
because that's what I was taught.
Yeah.
And that's what I taught him. So he's like, you know, he's like, yeah, but he comes in here, man. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't mess around like the other kids. He just works hard, and that makes me feel good inside, man. And when he's saying, he's like, sometimes it rubs the kids kind of a weird way. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, they'll come in. The kids will tell me, hey, coach, what's wrong with that kid, man? He's like, what do you mean? Well, why does he walk? He comes in like he walks in like
Confident. and shit?
like kind of like cocky.
Yeah.
He goes, no, he's not cocky. He's just confident. But his father taught him that. You know what I mean? But a lot of these kids that come off the streets that are in the boxing gym, they don't have that figure,
Yeah.
that father figure. So they don't understand that. You know what I mean? I understand it because
That's all
I
you
grew
knew.
up
That's
with-
all you knew. Yeah.
I grew up and I know that's all I know. So that's all I taught him, and that's all he knows. He knows confidence, not cockiness, man. He's confident, and I've taught him that since he was born. You know, I have pictures of my son deadlifting a kettlebell at he's in Pampers, a year old.
Shit.
Yeah, so, I mean that's just they've learned. Like I said, they wake up every morning and that's what they learn. Like brushing your teeth, man. And we gotta work hard. You know what I mean? And even if it's not training, you know, anything you do, you gotta outwork everybody. You know, because that's what was taught to me, and that's what you're gonna learn, and you're gonna teach your son. It's like they say, man, when you teach your son, you're really teaching the next
Yeah.
generations. You know what I mean? So everything that my son is learning now
Your dad taught
comes
you.
from my dad. Comes from my dad, and that's the start there because my dad didn't have that luxury of having a father like that. You know what I mean? But he made sure that he got that across to me and my son. And I'm telling you, my son and his son, they're all gonna have it, man. You know, so we got to continue that line. You know, and not only that, but then I also want to do that with my students.
Yeah.
Josiah, you, any other students that I have, they're all going to be coaches. They're all in kines. They're all exercise science, you know, health and wellness professionals are going to be in that field. You know, so if they're going to be coaching or they're going to be doing the exercise part of it, training, you know, I want them to have that same attitude, man. You know what I mean? And go out there and want to help people, you know, and have that passion.
Yeah, there's right now, I think the current state that I'm at, there's still plenty of like mental barriers I gotta get over. You know, I don't know if you remember when I competed last year, how many days I went without eating.
Yeah.
I went 3 days no food. The fourth day I didn't go any water either. Like it got to the point where I went out to eat with my friends the night before. I didn't eat. I didn't even drink water. I could smell the glass of water in front of me. My friends were like, dude, just hydrate. I'm like, fuck no, like I can't because
you want to make weight.
yeah, I wanted to make weight. That's the bottom line. And looking back, if I was in my shoes a year ago with the knowledge I have now, I don't think it would have been easier to make weight because I kept telling myself like, yeah, like one snack won't do, one meal will do, like it's fine. And then the day before comp, there I am, fucking 7 pounds over. How am I gonna burn 7 pounds in my sleep? And I don't know how the fuck I did it, but I did it. You know, and going back to like being like that guidance. I mean, I'm 21. I don't have any plans to be a dad anytime soon. But I just wanna have that impact on my future son, my future daughters. Like I just want them to show like things have to get done regardless of what you're going through, what you feel. Because going back to competing, 90% of my performance was nerves. You saw me warming up.
Yeah.
You saw me warming up with the weight in the back. I was warming up with it. I couldn't even squat. I think it was three 365, I'll fucking do that shit for 5 reps like today. But I mean, I was malnourished, but ignore that part.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was saying, there's just so many things that I'm still learning. I know it's cliche to sound, but I'm still young. There's still like a long way to go, and that's I hear it all the time from my mom or like my dad when I or even like my friends or like my older friends or even people like you. It's just I hear the phrase "you're still young,"
Mhm.
and it just goes over my head like it's an excuse or something like that. But I feel like now is the time I need to learn so many like things. You know what I mean? Like not even just powerlifting, but just life in general. It's you got to put nerves aside, like the way you said your dad said, and just get whatever's in front of you. Like it has to get done. Like I'm sure you could be home right now, going to sleep or going for another run at midnight. I'll probably be in bed, but I mean stuff like the podcast that has to get done, videos have to get done, my jobs have to get done. He works in the morning, like you know what I mean. It's just it's interesting hearing different stories. Like it wakes you up in a way. It woke me up in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It all goes back to discipline, man.
Yeah.
So you learn that, and you're gonna have different mentors,
Yeah.
throughout your life, and I tell my students all the time. I teach a coaching a sports class, and I think that's one of the things that we touch on is, your coaching philosophy and how you want to approach it. And I tell them, man, you're gonna have a bunch of people. They're gonna inspire you. You borrow a little bit from everybody. And then you come up with your own philosophy. But you have these mentors that are gonna teach you things like discipline, confidence, courage, and being humble, and all these great things, and that's gonna help you. And that's the funnest part, man, is the process.
Yeah.
And I tell people, embrace it, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Don't get intimidated by it. That's the funnest part. I mean, I can go back, and that's literally from the time I left the valley, and I think I left in 1996. And I started this journey on my own. Now I'm in San Antonio. We literally, me and my friend Dusty, the one I was telling you about earlier, and Mark didn't go with it. It was just me and Dusty at the time. We literally get in a car. He sells all his guns. He had a collection his dad giving him. We have no money. You know what I mean? We just got a little bit of money from my mom and my dad, and have a little truck. I fill it up, and we take off to San Antonio, and we go to the city, and we don't even have an apartment. We don't have a place to live. We literally drive up to San Antonio, like, okay, now we gotta find a place to live. So we're driving. We literally, everything was already sold because people were gonna go to school, and we get to this place called Juan Hill, right on top of the hill, and it's not too far from UTSA, because I'm gonna go to school there. Dusty's not gonna go to school, but I'm gonna go to school, and we get the apartment, and it's a little 1 bedroom. It's just me and him, and then later on, Mark shows up. He's living with us. Polo's there. We had like 4 dudes in a one little bedroom apartment, man. We're all kind of touching each other from bed to bed. But that was the funnest part, dude. We weren't scared, or I wasn't scared. We embraced it. Hey, got to get a job. We had 2 or 3 jobs, dude. 2 or 3 jobs, and going to school, and I was training, and I was playing football. And we were doing all these things. But it was great. It was a life lesson, juggling all those things. Because I still live like that right now. You know what I mean? I train. I have a gym. I teach at the university. I have these kids that I teach, that I'm helping with the boxing. Over here, I'm strength and conditioning some boxing kids.
You do random podcasts.
Yeah, random boxing. But I love it, man. I wouldn't. This is how I live. Like you, going back to what you said earlier, I'll probably be doing this till the day I die.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything else. Again, what I do is a passion, man. I get up, and it's not a job for me. You know what I mean? My dad asked me, why don't you take over my business? And you can make a lot of money, you can be comfortable, everything. And I get that. That's success to my dad, and my dad's been very successful. But the way I defined success wasn't the same. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about having this car or whatever. It was about, I wanted to help people. And as long as I have enough money to give to, have a roof over my kids and feed them, that's all that matters to me. I'm usually seen like this. Here are blue jeans in a cap. That's me. You know, I don't get dressed up or anything like that. You know, I'm just worried about what I'm gonna do the next day. You know, and I'm grinding, man. I'm grinding. You know, but that's what I want to do. You know, and he always asks me that, and I told him this is, you know,
That's
this
what
is
you
what I
want.
love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I try to make him understand, and he's like, you know what, you're absolutely right. You know, and he goes, keep doing what you're doing. I just never understood why you wanted to coach because there's no money in coaching. He's like, you know, what you make. I remember my dad saying, what you make in a year, I make in like literally 1 month. He goes, so why would you want to do that? But then I explained to him because you know what? You can't put a price on that. You're absolutely right. And now, and then he understood when I put it in that perspective. He's like, you're absolutely right. Keep doing what you love. You know what I mean? And I'll support you. You know what I mean? And so that was great that we could get on the same page with that because I know he has a lot of passions besides his business and making money. He
Yeah.
does things like Special Olympics, and again, those are all things that he taught me too. Working with kids with special needs. My dad's devoted a lot of time. My dad's coached. He's probably coached half the people out there in San Benito. You know, and but he was that mentor and he was that father figure for a lot of kids. You know, again, things that I saw growing up. So I kind of already knew that this was going to
Yeah.
be my fit anyway because
Yeah.
I had seen my dad be a coach literally my whole life. Not only my coach, but coaching hundreds of kids.
Helping other kids
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, just hundreds of kids in San Benito. All have been coached by my dad at one time or another. Now most of the kids are here in Harlingen, you know, but he loves going to the games. That's why he goes to a lot of the Hawk games because those are all his kids. That's the last batch of kids that he coached.
Oh,
Is
really?
those kids that are seniors right now at the Hawks,
Mhm.
Harlingen Hawks. You know, but he had those kids when they were little, 6, 7 year olds NFL flag football. You know, but my dad's run a lot of leagues in this community, and he's done a lot of great things. And again, these are all things that I saw growing up. So I try to do the same thing. You know, and I wanted to come back to San Benito and my community and do it. You know, I moved from San Antonio. I moved to San Antonio. I lived there for almost 20 years. You know, and I love San Antonio. But when I had an opportunity to come back, I came back because I wanted to give back. You know, and I've been here now 10 years. You know, and you know, nobody, not too many people know, but I might go back to San Antonio. That's my
Yeah.
plan because Juanito's going to be in high school.
Yeah.
So it's time to up the game, man, and get him ready, you know, for football. And I want to be there for that, you know, because that's important to me.
Yeah.
You know, even if it means putting a standstill at, you know, at my career where I'm at here. And I love the university and I love the gym, you know, but you know, if I have to leave and put a, you know, for at least 4 years while he's in high school, I'll go over there and you know, hopefully teach over there and run my gym over there. And I still have the gym over there in San Antonio. So.
Another big one.
Yeah, and my guys over there. Shout out to my guys, Gary and those guys, Jesse. They take care of my gym over there. You know, and again, those are guys that have come through me. You know, I knew them when they were kids, man. I met them same thing like you when you were 19, 20 years old. Now they're men, man. They have kids. They're a lot of them are you know in their 30s already, man and but they take care of my place in San Antonio. They run the gym over there, and they train a lot of people. And like Gary's had a lot of champions, you know, but Gary was just this little wiry 120-pound kid, and he could tell you a story, man. Came over and he's a cross country guy and basketball guy. He tells me, hey, he's in my class. I say, hey, you want to lift? He's like, what do you mean powerlifting? I was like, I'm little, and I was like, I think you can be super strong, dude. I honestly, I see it. I see the fast twitch. I know the talent when I see it, man. And I go, no, you can't lift that much. And the first powerlifting meet that he did, maybe he did 2 plates. I don't even think he did 2 plates. He did like 100 and something pounds. And now he holds national records. I mean, he does like five. I want to say the last time I saw, I think Gary, I might be getting this wrong, but like 565 or something like that.
Oh,
At 100 and like you know, still 130 pounds, maybe 35 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, fuck.
You know, but again, that's a guy that came in and never lifted in his life. He was a basketball and a cross country guy, you know, and I told him stick with this. It's gonna take you some time, but you'll get it. You just gotta dedicate the time to it. And now he's influencing other the things that we did back then when he was young. He's doing now what I did, and that's again that's going back to what I tell you that ripple effect, man. That's what I want, you know. Guys like that, guys like my other guy Jesse, you know, my guy Adrian now that's got his doctoral. You know, I'm very proud of those guys when they call me and tell me, "Hey, coach, You were a part of this. You know, you're the reason why I'm here, and I'm gonna go to grad school. I'm gonna go to my PhD, and I'm gonna get it. You know, I always tell them, do better than me, man. Do better than me. You know, I want you to outwork me. So I'm gonna keep working hard, dude. So you better keep up. You know what I mean? And they know it, and they know it. They're like, hey, whether it comes to physical or mental, I'm working all the time. And I want you guys to work. So a lot of them are doing great things, man. Some of them are at a university level. Some of them have their own private practice. Again, training, got into training. You know, other great things. They're great fathers. You know what I mean? And all my guys spend time with my kids. Because anywhere I went, they knew most kids were right there. Strongman competitions, powerlifting meets, they were there. They were there. So they all saw my kids grow up. You know, and I wanted to show them what a great father was too, because I want them to be great father when they get to it. Because my dad taught me how to be a great father. You know what I mean? And that's what I want for them. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at. You know, with what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I do what I do.
That's gonna be like your next chapter, probably going up. See, reuniting with those guys again.
What's that?
You're gonna be reuniting with them.
Oh, we just had a
For sure.
little get together about 2 years ago. I hadn't seen them probably almost in 10 years, man. And I told them, hey, let's do a barbecue. I'm going to be over there. And it was Gabby's prom, I remember. So I was like, damn, I got a prom, man. I got this. But we already committed. And they all came. There was not all of them, but a big, a number of them came out. And we all laughed and we all barbecued. They started telling stories about me. And I started telling stories about them. And we had some crazy times, man. We had fun times, too. It was not all about lifting, man. We party, too, man. We party, too. So
I've heard a couple of those stories.
yeah, we done some partying and stuff. But, again, just great, all in fun, man. And I love those guys. They were like my kids, man. So it's great, to see them grow up, and become. And that's the same thing with you guys now. You, Josiah, you guys are going to grow up. I can say right now, we will remember this time in 10 years. I'm telling you, you're going to be in your 30s and you're going to be already at that next level. And I was telling Roel the other day, say when Brandon gets big, man, he becomes famous. He hopefully remembers us.
Yeah.
But again, we have to will it.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to plant that seed in you. You are going to be successful, and I want you to reach for the sky, man. And really, I tell everybody, you need to strive for perfection. I know you're not going to be perfect. And I tell my kid all the time, I know there's no such thing as perfection, man. But along the way, you'll find excellence. And I think Lombardi said that, and that always stuck with me. You know what I mean? Go hard, man. Go hard, go big, reach for the stars. Again, try to be perfect. And those were my days in San Benito too, man. We called it the I will tell you this. It was not 2 days. It was kind of like a boot camp. We did a boot camp, and for 8 weeks, man, and we had to be perfect. And we wanted the perfect practice. And every day they drill us, man. We're doing mat drills. We're doing boxes, plyometrics. We're doing the weight room. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We're going from station to station, the whole hour, hardcore. And you had to be perfect. Your finger had to be perfect in attention. Nobody can screw up any type of nothing.
Shit.
And every time somebody would screw up and we didn't have a perfect workout, we're going to keep going. And we will be doing this for the rest of the year till you guys get a perfect workout. And maybe just stretch and sweat, people throwing up. I'll tell you a story real quick because it's a good one about that. I got a friend. His name was Eric Lopez. And he was on the defensive side with me. And I remember we were doing mat drills, and this guy, he was sick. And we're there and we're doing forward row, backward row, side row, and everything. And he's like, Coach, this guy's gonna throw up. And he's like, you better not throw up. And Eric throws up, and he's about to throw up, and he throws up in his hand, but he didn't want to drip it on the mat, right? He throws it up in his hand, and he's like, you better eat that shit, man. And he eats it.
Fuck no.
But that's how trained they had us, man. You know what I mean? But that again, that was perfection. You need to be perfect. You can't screw it up, and you don't want to let down your brother. And that's how it should be in the football field. That's how it should be in life. And we learned that at San Benito those years. And again, I learned that not only I already knew that. I learned it from my dad. Because coaches were always trying to break me too. They couldn't break me. Man, you can't. I'm with the big.
I go home to that.
Look at this, man. You guys are like little puppies compared to this right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they could never do anything to me. They couldn't break me, and I breezed through that. And I'm not trying to be cocky, but again, it was nothing that my dad hadn't already put me through.
Yeah.
And I saw friends of mine dropping like flies all the time. You know what I mean? But as a team, we came together and we got through it, man, and we got perfect. And we were successful at the very end. And then that's like, okay, now we can carry on. Now we're ready for the season. But it was a mentality getting us ready for the next season, for that 94 season, because that was going to be a big year for you. We had a lot of talent, but more than anything, it was just a culture, of instilling that in San Benito, because for a long time, San Benito wasn't winning. But San Benito's always gone back to a winning tradition.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that we lost it a little bit. And then when Coach Roberts came over here, came to San Benito, he brought that back. He brought that culture back. Me and my dad were just talking about that. And that was the difference. And after that, we set the tone. We set the bar of success in San Benito, in that community. And then after that, the community, everybody was behind it. Like, no, we need to get the best coach. We need to get the best program. And they always looked out to go get the best coach, and they got Coach Peña. They got some of these other guys, now Coach Gomez, I've had the privilege of talking to him. Great coach. I love him. I love his attitude, and but he instills that in those kids,
Yeah.
in a different way, and they do what works for them. They do it different than what we did, but it works for the kids that he has right now.
Yeah.
And I'm totally I like Gomez. I like everything he's doing there, because it reminds me so much of what I went through when I was with Coach Roberts, and that's a legendary coach right there, man, in itself. And all the coaches under that staff were great. They're all been mentors to me. That's what I'm telling you. Those guys are the ones that are going to influence you. You're going to get influenced by Gomez, and different mentors throughout your life. Take everything they give you, and those are little gold nuggets, man, and keep them in your arsenal. And then that's going to make up your philosophy, and that's going to your approach at everything you do.
But yeah, like you were saying, man, shout out to Gomez. I mean, not even just being on the podcast, but I saw how he was as a coach. Not I know in his early years, I always heard from the upperclassmen like, oh, Gomez is gonna be on your ass. Gomez is different. Gomez is softer now. But I sort of saw the same thing like every year. Even I don't know. I don't think I went over it in the pod. Yeah, I did in the podcast. How even like a huge situation like COVID was a thing, he still applied those same principles in his coaching and training, like all that stuff. Like he implemented it with all the coaches. He was still had that strict side to him for sure, but he just made sure. What I liked about him is he had the strict side to him, but he also had he would also dig mentally into the kids, because I went over this on the podcast too. Like there were kids that would play football just to stay off the streets.
Yeah,
like get out of trouble. You know what I mean? And it's just I like that he influenced them in that way. So now they're better. Like they're not going where they were projected to go.
Yeah.
Like it's more than just football. It's more than just weights. It's more than just the gym, like you said. But I did want to go over one last thing before we close out here, because Cameron said we're already an hour and 30. In your time with your obsession and your passion, and you can go as deep as you want with this question, did you ever feel like alone in all of that? Because like with the podcast, with like the gym, all the work I'm doing, like my clothing brand, there's times where I just lose connection with people, and I lose friends. Not in a bad way. It's just, I mean, I'm doing my own thing. It's just sometimes I feel like I'm just locked into what I'm doing. Sometimes I feel like, damn, I'm missing out on some people, some friends. You know what I mean? Did you catch my drift here?
Yeah, I get you.
Did you ever feel that way, like when you were dwelling in your passion?
I'm trying to think, man.
I know you said you had your boys, like the 4 guys in one apartment, like you had stuff like that. Did you have that the whole time, or there were times where you were like...
I think you kind of hit it. There's different chapters of your life, and sometimes you have to close a chapter. And sometimes you lose some friends for a while, and you don't lose them. The true friends are always going to be there, but you start partying with your boys or hanging out, going to Hooters and all these places we used to hit up all the time. And I'm like, that part of my life is over. And now I need to refocus everything and put all of my energy into this. And like you said, sometimes you do feel by yourself, but nobody does anything on their own.
Yeah.
Everybody needs some help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and then you get you get new people in your life. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're to help you. But that happened, and again, those are all important transitions in your life. I got to when I graduated with my degree. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And how am I going to get better? If this is what I want to do. And so I decided to go to grad school. So then there I am going to grad school, applying, and started going there. And again, friends would call me, hey, let's go do this or go do that. Can't. I got to go to class. Like, dude, class is going to be there tomorrow. I go, but I got to go to the health science because I got to go study, dude.
Yeah.
Because the first class that I ever took, I got a 35 on the test. And that professor called me in. I still remember his name to this day. Dr. Zhang calls me in and says, hey, I need to talk to you after class. This guy's broken English, and he tells me, I tell this story to my students all the time. Hey, you got a 35. You're not going to make it. So cut your losses and just retake it. And now you know what grad school is all about. It's a different monster, man. It's different. You're going to have to study more. You're going to have to get a study group, learn how to do notes and he started kind of explaining to me all these little strategies that I could do to get better. He goes, but now so he goes, again, go back and lick your wounds and you'll come back stronger. And I said, what do I need to get to pass the class? And he tells me, you got to get pretty much A's all the way through. And I'm like, well, okay. He's like, so it's possible. He goes, oh, it's very possible, but highly unlikely. You know what I mean? Obviously, you got a 35. I don't think you're gonna. And I go, okay, I'm gonna stay. And he goes, what? And I was like, I'm gonna stay. He goes, no, you're not. And I was like, no, I know. I go, but I'm gonna stay. And he's like, okay. So I stuck it out, dude. Sure enough, I got A's and everything else, man. At the very end, I passed the class. And I got everything. I literally got like 90s in the rest of the test. And he's like, it came out to the final. Goes, you got to get this, and I got it. And I was able to stay in the class, and I stuck it out, dude. But that's what going back to my dad, and it's like that's what he taught. Get it done, man. And that taught me really, really quick, But I had to cut out a lot of people. That was my point. I cut out my friends. I cut out going to the bar. I cut out going to party and playing football and everything because I knew that this was important for my future. For the things that I want to do. It was bigger than me. So I got to sacrifice some things. So yeah, I was lonely at that time. I was always in the freaking library, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I had to focus. And when I focused, I was able to be successful. And then after that, okay, now I kind of figured it out. And then as the semester went along, I kind of was able to adapt. And then, okay, every now and then I'll go party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was able to sneak it in. And then I got some of my friends back. You know what I mean? But they had to understand. And the good ones, again, will understand.
Yeah.
Because they'll always be there for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I did, and I didn't see them as much. But then I went and I graduated from that, and I went to the next phase. And again, you leave some people behind, you go to the next thing. And so it's part of the process, man. But again, the true people that are there for you, you can always go. And I shout out to my friend Polo, man. Like I was mentioning him earlier. I'll call him in San Antonio, and we'll pick up where we left off, dude. And it's like he's always been there for me, and I've known him since I was probably 2 or 3 years old. We've been friends for that long. You know what I mean? Those are the friends that stay forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they understand it, and I understand that their life goes in a different direction. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's just that we don't got time right now. So you get those little long times that you feel by yourself, but you're never by yourself, man. You can always call anybody up, and I'm sure the true friends are always going to be there, and they're going to back you up.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that have always backed me up, and they're just like, keep doing what you're doing, dude. You're doing a great thing, and I'm proud of you. It feels good when they tell you, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, wow, man. You know what I mean? You get it. Again, those are the people that you want to keep around you always. Keep them close to you, man. Because they're the ones that support you, and they will continue to support you all the way through in anything that you do, and it just makes you stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I've had I met Cameron a good almost 2 years ago. I met him in 6th grade, but
Mhm.
we just stayed mutuals. I don't even think I talked to him from 7th grade to like up until 2 years ago. Where I'm already 21, and not even just with content. I got him into the gym,
Mhm.
and we've just kept in touch. Now we're keeping each other like in
Mhm.
check.
Mhm.
There are because I like I said there are times where I think like fuck, like is this content thing gonna work? Like is
Mhm.
the brand gonna work? Like I'm taking a big risk. I'm
Mhm.
losing out on parties, friendships. Like fucking he's been the one to like slow me down. Like dude, like you're like we're doing this. Like this is
Yeah.
fucking working. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then I have other friends that I'd go to parties with and that I keep in touch with. Like shout out to Ethan. I think
Oh, I know you think. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
trained. Yeah, like
Yeah, I know his mom.
I rarely see Ethan, but
Mhm.
when I do, he's like, dude, I like you're fucking killing it, dude. Like just keep at it.
That's
I'm
good.
proud of you. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like that's such like a deep like it's a weight off my shoulder. You know, it's just it keeps me in check and it just reminds me like it's all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even though there are times where I'm just to myself focusing on my brand, my content, and all that good stuff, and I just think sometimes like, is it worth it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just
No, it's
it's
definitely worth it, and
it's
that's the energy you need, man. You need those kind of people that give you positive energy. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna give you that when you get a little stagnant, they're gonna give you that momentum to carry you over.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's we all need that. We all need that, man. I still need that.
Yeah.
You know, and I love it when my old students call me or my old powerlifters, and it just gives me energy, man. It gives me more energy. I'm like, when I'm feeling down,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like, man,
fucking
should I
horrible.
stay in somebody? Should I stay here? And I want to do this and that, and then I get the answer real quick, you know, because Josiah or somebody will come and again they're like, oh, you know, I'm still needed. You know what I mean? And then I just get wrapped up in okay, helping whoever it is out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'll know when it's time, and I'll know. I've always been one to never worry about that. I know that God always puts me on the right path,
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? And He's been great to me, and I've always, you know, everything's always worked out for me.
Yeah.
I mean, just like anybody else. We have little bumps in the road. That's
Yeah.
part of life. Life hits, man.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you get through it. You know what I mean? Those are all life lessons, and you become stronger. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get down about it. I just those are things out of my control at this point. Let me just worry about the things that I have control of and
Yeah.
what I can do. Let me do my part. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And like just like you said, just it's I'm slowly building a relationship more with God.
Mhm.
Like the way you brought up, and I just know whenever when I have those days or when something goes wrong, I give it all to Him. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, definitely, man.
whether it's the podcast or a PR I'm gonna hit or somebody I'm gonna meet or somewhere I'm gonna go to, it's just I'm slowly realizing like you know what, like I wouldn't be here if He didn't want me to,
Oh yeah.
and I just like going back to the way you want to make your dad proud. I mean, I have my dad and I have my
Yeah.
uncle and my family, my friends, awesome. But I'm looking bigger.
Oh yeah.
Everything I'm doing in my life. I want to make God proud because
Yeah.
obviously God is like
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody like if you're not religious. I mean,
Mm.
you know, but I just feel like God and anybody wants to see their creation be the best they can be. The way you want to see your kids be the best they can be, I feel like God wants to see all of us
Yeah.
succeed.
We all have a vocation, man.
Yeah.
And we're all put in this earth for something. And you play a part in that whole energy and that in this world. And it's your job to find what that is. And you're doing it right now. You're going out there and you're trying all these things out and you'll find it. And you'll know when you find it. You know what I mean? And if you're already having those feelings, that's it. You need to listen to it. And that's the same thing with me when I was in, you know, coming up, you know, I knew what my calling was. And I know what God put me here. And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's always worked out for me because it's destiny. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I know I'm always confident, dude, that it's gonna work out. I don't worry about it because this is God's will, man. He wants me to do it. You know, He's already laid this out for me. You know what I mean? I just have to learn how to listen to Him and where He wants me. You know what I mean? You know, my mom is really strong in her beliefs, and you know, I grew up. You know, I see my mom praying rosary every day, man, and my grandma, same thing. You know, it was just my grandma's birthday. That was a hard loss for us a couple of years ago, but that's the foundation right there. You know what I mean? That taught us that we're all destined to do something, and God it has a plan for everything, man, and he made you for that reason. You know what I mean? And you have to stay true to it. And that was my dad's mom, my grandma Lala, and but my dad too. My dad instilled that in us. You know what I mean? And so I think that's really important, man. And that's great that at this age you're finding that out. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna save you a lot of heartache, man. You know what I mean? Stay to that. Stay true to that always, always. And I'm telling you, things will open up. Even when doors close, they close for a reason because another door, a bigger door, is gonna open for you. I guarantee you. You know what I mean? It always happens. It always happens. So that's good.
Well, we need a part 2, definitely. But thank you for your time, Coach. I know you're a busy man. Like I said, I want to get you on the pod. You've influenced me a lot. And you've taught me a lot of things, even though I haven't been as consistent at this gym as I'd like to. But my schedule is opening up more, so I do want to get back to training here. But yeah, thank you for. You have any closing statements?
I appreciate it, man. Let's go work out, man. I'm gonna go run right now.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. And if you're new here, like, subscribe, and share because it helps me out a huge bunch. Also, use code Brandon Ryan, all caps and spaces, 10% off your next purchase at GetRawNutrition.com. Coach, anything?
Keep working.
Team Legendz.
Let's do it. Puro Legendz.